And then the late game on Saturday.
Yeah.
8 Eastern on Amazon Prime. We got a divisional rivalry back in the playoffs. The 6 seed, the Steelers, taking on the 3 seed in the Ravens. They've played twice before, obviously.
Yep.
Week 11, Pittsburgh won by a couple, 18-16.
Right.
Week 13, Ravens got the revenge, beating the Steelers 34-17. You were in your notebook for both of those games, and so maybe we start with that right here, guys, because you wrote some, and it's actually quite difficult to read here. So this was a bad week for your handwriting, Week 11.
I must have been in a hurry. I'll read it for you.
Yeah, please.
There is reluctance in playing through the run or accepting what the game is. It's a tough physical run type of game. Stop trying to make it high flying. That was my 2 cents on the Baltimore Ravens offense from the first matchup when they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. Right? That was the concern with me. Now, in the second matchup, right? Because in the first matchup, I believe Derrick Henry fumbled early, and then they were stopped on a 4th and short. And from that point on, it felt like Baltimore got scared to run. Excuse me. The second matchup in Baltimore, that was not the case. They played through the run a lot more, and therefore there was a lot more plays there to be had in the pass game too. They scared the Steelers into some defenses with some of their early game runs, where the Steelers then played, I think, a little too much run defense throughout the rest of the game, and that led to Lamar having some people wide open too. But that game was misleading. Okay, let's leave it at that.
So this is the Week 16 game. It wasn't Week 13, actually. Week 16, so just a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Derrick Henry runs for 162 in that game. They run as a team for 220.
They went run first in this one, as opposed to that Week 11 when they got beat in Pittsburgh and could have won the game, left some opportunities on the field. Yep. But yes, that to me is when Baltimore is the most dangerous, right? I like when they lean on the run game a little bit more. Lamar got under the center a little bit in the game and got Derrick Henry run downhill. And of course, when that starts to happen is what happened in this game. All of a sudden, a guy like Lamar, he's got 15 completions for 207 yards, which is telling you every time he drops back, he's almost getting a first down with every throw he makes. I mean, that's what's happening. And from my notes here, just with that a little bit, right? When it came to the Ravens O and Steelers D, the one thing I bothered me watching it back from the Steelers D perspective is they played too much run defense on pass situations, right? Where it would be maybe 2nd and long or 1st and long. Maybe you got an offsides penalty, whatever. And they'd play a defense like, we don't want them to run for 5 or 6 and get back in a manageable position. So let's try to stop the run. But Baltimore was like, well, let's drop back and pass and try to get most of this back right here. And then it'd be, it's 2nd and 10 or it's 1st and 15 and they're playing run defense and boom, there's 14 yards, 12 yards. Oh, gosh, damn, we're right back on schedule and then some. It's 2nd and 2 or it was a first down. So there was too much of that went on, I thought, right? They played situations in run defense in those situations too much, and the Ravens got chunk plays. Ravens O-line dominated the Steelers front, okay? That's another thing that bothered me about the Steelers, and they're going to see that, and they're going to be a pissed-off bunch when it comes to this time around. But also within that, okay, and this is where it's hard. We're playing Baltimore here. Their offense is awesome. They got a million answers. If you like I said about Detroit the other night, if you overplay one thing with Baltimore, you're going to get burned somewhere else because Monken's a good play caller and Lamar's smart. They're going to go to something else and go, okay, let's activate, this part of the plan. Boom, right? So where they're not going to be able to handle Baltimore straight up in the run game and be able to stop some of this pass game stuff. And to me, where they got a little too, I think, bland in the game. Where I'm telling you, we're going to play run defense. It's 5 men on the front, on the line, and we're going to do that. Oh, it's defense. And when we wanted to play pass defense, you could kind of see it coming, and you were like, well, they're about to drop back into pass coverage here, right? Mm-hmm. It almost goes back to like what we've talked about the Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl a long time ago, right? Not a long time ago, but 2 years ago.
Seems like a long time.
You're going to have to take some tactical chances and disrupt things. You're going to have a few play calls. You're going to go, I'm going to take a chance to try to get them behind the sticks here and do something. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be nervous doing it because you're going to go, if they call the right play, we might get burned. But I think you got to take those chances because if you just sit back and go, well, we'll just play run defense and we'll try to fit in every gap. They're too creative in too many ways where one guy pulls, another guy pulls, he fakes to the running back and he comes around the edge, and it's like, whoa, there's 2 more gaps over here. One guy ran after Derrick Henry, and you don't have enough people here. There's no defense that's ever going to be able to fill all these voids, right? So that's where Spagnuolo was so special in that Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl. He had those same type of problems. You got to take some tactical risk at times and just go, you know what? We're going to blitz off this edge. We're going to slant our defensive line away from the blitz, and we're going to maybe play a conservative coverage. They might get a 10-yard completion if they call the right pass play and all that, but we're going to hope we just create chaos, and if they call a run, it's going to mess everything up, and we can get Derrick Henry in the backfield. I think there's got to be a little bit of that from them in this next matchup.
Create mistakes and try to take some chances.
A little
Open
bit.
yourself. Make yourself vulnerable.
Every now and then. Exactly right. I'm not saying you need to do that, 4 out of 5 plays or 5 out of 10 plays. I'm just saying every now and then you got to sprinkle that in to make them think a little bit. And then we know if this game plays straight up, Baltimore's better. The Steelers are going to have to get that strip sack fumble or a block punt or whatever. That's what they're going to rely on in this one.
Yeah.
And they did that the first time around and got those plays and made it happen. The second time around, no, unfortunately, their offense was the one that turned it over and gave the Ravens extra opportunities.
Well, it's so obvious for the Ravens, right? You run for 162 with Derrick Henry, you're going to have a better chance of winning. And last year in the playoffs, they dominated the Houston Texans on the ground.
Exactly.
And then you go into the next playoff game against the Chiefs, you get away from the run a little bit.
Right.
I do wonder what the Ravens' mentality will be because the blueprint's so obvious, but you can't be too obvious in the NFL. You can't let them know what it's like. We're just going to run the ball 50 times a game.
And check your ego at the door is going to be the big thing because what happens is you see run defense and Todd Monken and Lamar are like, we're the Ravens. I'm Lamar. We got Mark Andrews. We got Zay Flowers. We got Rashad Bateman. Like, screw them playing their run defense, right? Screw them. We're going to throw the ball here. But that's what the Chiefs did. And then all of a sudden we look up and we're like, they're throwing it every play.
Yeah.
So they're good enough to run the ball even when people play run defense. And that's the point. And that's what's going to open up way more stuff and unlock their offense. Hopefully they can do that. We'll see.
Steelers' best chance to win this game is by doing what? I mean, obviously taking those chances on defense, creating some turnovers, but maybe offensively.
On the offensive side of the field, the offensive side of the ball, to me, the biggest thing, and when I'm watching back, the middle of the field is open against the Baltimore Ravens. And we've talked about this in the past. This is Russell Wilson's kryptonite. This is his kryptonite, is throwing the ball down the middle of the field. And he's got it in this one. There was a number of plays where I went, hey, he's open, throw it. And then there was a number of plays where I was like, wait, they're about to be open, and why are you leaving the pocket? Like, it's fine. I know they blitzed a guy here, but he's been picked up. You're good. Don't let that, scare you by just seeing a little color flash out of the corner of your eye. He missed opportunities there. There's plays to be had there, especially, too, when you talk about, to me, one of the greatest advantages they have in the football game is Freiermuth versus Roquan Smith in the middle of the field. Roquan Smith is a hell of a linebacker, but pass coverage is not his strength. And you see teams that abused Baltimore during the year, a lot of the times they got ways to single up Roquan Smith in the middle of the field and pass coverage, and that was advantage offense. That will be one big thing with them. They ran the ball okay the first time around. They actually, I would say, won the battle when you talk about run game and doing all that, right? The 2 turnovers were huge. Russell Wilson fumbled on the 3-yard line going into score, and they were going to go up 14-7. And then, of course, the pick 6 was as bad as it gets. And it doesn't get any worse like that. So that was a 14-point swing with the fumble. And then, of course, the interception. That's why that game 34-17 is misleading. It was closer than that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm looking back at this first game here.
There was no Pickens in the last matchup. Right. So that'll change things too.
Yeah, in the first matchup, Pickens had 8 catches for 89 yards.
Yes, second matchup, he had the hamstring issue.
So Freiermuth did not go off in either of the games against the Ravens.
And that's what I'm saying. When I looked at the film,
opportunities there.
He's there. It's there. Right? Let alone there were some other receivers running in cuts and crosses where I'm going to go, come on, Russell, just stay in there and throw it. Right? So we'll see what happens here. I will say, right, of course I'm leaning Ravens here.
Yeah.
But this is the worst. I got to think the worst wild card matchup they could have thought of. Right? It's the Steelers. They're a pain in the ass to them. They know their tricks. They know how to defend them. They know how they think. Right? This is it's scary. It's about as scary as it can get for an awesome team like the Baltimore Ravens.
That's what we were saying after Week 11. Mike Tomlin knows he's figured out a way to slow down Lamar, and that made Lamar mad.
Yo, homies. Thanks for watching. Yeah, it's time. The NFL season is here on Chris Simms Unbuttoned.
You can hit subscribe to get all the weekly picks, plus our Sunday recaps as the games are happening.
Oh, you know it. Nobody does that better than us. Thanks again for watching. Remember to subscribe. Peace out. We'll see you next time on Unbuttoned.